Unleash the power of knowledge and connect with the heartbeat of the African diaspora. Download our African Diaspora News Channel app now on Google Play and Apple App Store. Stay informed with authentic and diverse perspectives, breaking news, and cultural insights. Immerse yourself in a community that celebrates unity, resilience, and progress. Experience the vibrancy of the diaspora at your fingertips. Don't miss out. Empower your perspective today. Search African Diaspora News Channel and join the conversation.
My name is Naledi Mfoloe, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the latest edition of the African Diaspora News Channel, where we unravel the stories that shape our world and our communities. A disturbing story has actually resurfaced that I believe highlights the lens to which some pharmaceutical companies will go and the lasting consequences their actions have on vulnerable populations. Now, this is the case of a controversial drug trial carried out by Pfizer in Kano State, Nigeria, in the late 90s. Now, this had resulted in the death of 11 children and the permanent injury of others. These were not isolated incidents or mere coincidences, right? They were a result of a drug trial that was not a vaccine trial, as it was often portrayed, but a dangerous, unethical clinical drug test. Now, over 20 years later, right, survivors of that trial are speaking out, and the consequences of what happened are being laid bare in a new documentary, and it reveals very chilling accounts from adults who were once children subjected to the trial, recounting the harrowing side effects they endured and the effects that still haunt them today. Now, one of the survivors is in a particularly very important moment says, right, and I quote, "Pfizer was administered on me and I couldn't move my leg. The other one also shrunk and dried up. It damaged my organs. They killed my hormones that will help me to grow." Now, as a Black South African, this story hits me hard and it makes me reflect on the wider, often overlooked issues of exploitation in Africa by malnutritional corporations. Let's have a look.
In 1996, Adiza Ismail died as a result of Pfizer injection of Tribon.
It's damaged my organs. They kill my hormones that will help me to grow, that will help my teeth to be strong.
Pfizer was administered on me and I couldn't move my legs. The other one also shrunk and dried up.
The children that died, some could have become the president of Nigeria.
It was the most unfortunate phase of history of Kano, which we don't want to be repeated ever.
The compensation they were trying to offer was 100,000 naira, based on the fact that if a Nigerian policeman dies on duty, his compensation is 100,000 naira.
They promised to give each victim $175,000 US. We were only given 2.4.
Firstly, right, I want us to clarify that this was not some vaccine trial, like some have suggested, right? It was a drug trial. Pfizer, in an attempt to test the drug, likely for profit or approval, chose to conduct these tests in Nigeria. Why Nigeria? Because they knew that they could get away with it. They chose a country where they thought the government would turn a blind eye, where lives were seen as disposable, and where human rights were often compromised for profit. And let's be blunt about the question that no one seems to want to answer, right? Why was the trial conducted in Africa and not in the US or Europe? I mean, this is not the first time that Africa has been targeted for unethical medical experimentation. Historically, Africa has been treated as a testing ground for drugs and vaccines with little regard for the safety or well-being of its citizens. And in this case, right, Pfizer decided to test a new drug on human beings, yet no one warned the parents, no one asked for the informed consent, and no one paid attention to the gruesome consequences. I mean, the mainstream media has, for the most part, swept this under the rug, right? I mean, we hear about the effects of vaccines and drug trials in Western countries all the time. But somehow, the voices of those who were directly impacted in Africa are pushed aside. And I can't help but feel a sense of anger and betrayal when I think about the little attention that is paid to the lives of Black people in Africa. The tragic reality is that these children, now adults, right, were seen as expendable by the powerful pharmaceutical companies. But to be clear, right, this is not just a Nigerian problem. It's an African problem. It's a global problem. They knew they could test this drug on children in a country where they thought that the value of life was cheaper and where the government was either complicit or too powerless to stop them. And the survivors have shared heart-wrenching testimonies about their lives being destroyed, about organs damaged and limbs and futures altered forever, right? But let's ask the important question here. Why did this happen in the first place? And who is really accountable? I mean, these were real children with real families who trusted the medical professionals they believed were there to help them and not to harm them. And it's hard to ignore the pattern, right? Africa's population, especially Black people, have been treated as a collateral damage in the pursuit of profit. But this time around, we cannot stay silent. While I understand that medical advancements can sometimes come with risk, right? But I believe that there is no justification for what happened in Nigeria. These children were used as human guinea pigs. And I believe, right, that Pfizer must be held accountable for what it did. And the families of those affected deserve justice, acknowledgement, and compensation. What do you think? Let's continue the conversation in the comment section. We really want to hear from you. And while you're at it, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. That's it from me. Till we meet again, it is